WE. They had enough openings, and just I think that their one fight in mid lane basically decided which direction this is going. I think they had a really good comeback from the early game with that setup, like you mentioned already at Drake, where they got a double kill and then chased the Sion down. But overall, I think I was seeing no Mikhail's Crucible on that Janna, and I think it was very essential to have that versus Danny.
In the late game team fights also, because it seemed like the questionable decision making from TSM early shifted to a questionable decision making in team fights for WE later, and we have a replay from one of the crucial over-engage, let's call it that, for WE and the way TSM played it.
They have a bottom lane inhibitor, and they don't need to commit right here to really getting this tower. You know, the wave is going to push in eventually. They're not patient, and now eventually Annie's going to go with a full rotation of stuns, and Ahri is going to get stunned by the Annie. And then now, with the lockdown of Vi, this is the problem when you run a double threat composition and one of your threats gets taken out in the beginning of the fight. You no longer have any damage, and TSM has pretty much 5 threats on their team. You need to kill all of them, and once this fight has happened, all the CC in the world won't matter, and TSM makes a comeback with this.
Yeah, and final thoughts about this game. For me, as for Team Solo Mid, it must be very hopeful to know that even if they're not dominating in any of the lanes early, they can pull this off under pressure.
Yeah, I think as a team, they really showed their ability to play from behind, their ability to adapt to their opponents in the game. Initially, with the team comp, you felt TSM was going to be engaging. They didn't really do that. They didn't actually play to what champions they picked themselves into. But then once they actually found some opportunities in the later game and they did hit those item break points, then they started making use of it. TSM played around their flashes, I feel, far too much, and we'll need to see them adapt for that in the second game of the series.
Yeah, I think we might even go to 5 here because WE was looking good as well until up there at the end. And by the way, guys, if this goes to 5 games, we are all staying here until we see a team lift that trophy. So we'll be back after the break with game 2.
Vayne. Oké. Nou, dit is waar het op neerkomt. Doe het jouw harness in de game gaan vervangen. Oh shit, you can do shit. Weet je. Oké, let's do this. Hij heeft een bepaalde pick opengelaten. Je weet het. Ga ik dit doen? Custom skin. Driven is niet gewend, hè? Vayne, Aurelia en... Yes, sir. Is dit een slimme pick? Oh, geen flits. Let's go. Helemaal ja. Oh, wacht even. El bombo es real. El bombo es real. Ik ben bang. Okay. Twisted Fate. Oh nee, dat is niet de pick die je moet hebben. Tegen Driven. Oh. Nou, spannend. Dit, oh, we zijn al aan.
Extend your command precision with an 8200 DPI Pro Aim R3 laser sensor. Extend your command's
Wacht, een
capability
puntje van een
with
kostje.
exclusive Easy Shift button
Oh,
duplicator
shit.
technology.
gaat
Extend
niet
your
helpen.
atmospherics with a fully
weet wat ik
customizable
nou
4 LED multicolor lighting system. Extend the life and accuracy of your gaming with the Rocket Titan wheel. The
Dit
Cone
is te spannend.
XGT
Ik kan maar...
Max
Oh nee,
Customization
ik vind het al zo spannend tegen DJ. Ik kan me niet voorstellen hoe het is als ik tegen Justin of Max moet of zo. Cool. Ik ga hem zingen van CS. Ik weet niet
We
eens
are
of
all
in de
equal
game
in
is
the
op dit
fact
moment.
that we are all different.
We are all the same in the fact that we will never
Zou
be
die
the
geluid
same.
zijn?
We are united by the reality
That all colors and all
Ga ik
cultures
vanuit
are
dat het
distinct
geluid
and individual.
is? Ik begin met CS.
We are harmonious in the reality.
that we are all held to this earth.
By the same gravity.
I'm a gamer.
I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer.
I'm a gamer.
I'm a gamer.
I'm a gamer.
De goldcard. Ja. Oh, 2 shots. Altijd goed. Goed. We gaan even mensen. Ik zeg dat hij is 2 of zo. Ik ga het gewoon iedere keer doen zodat ik hem op level 6 kan houden. Ah, goed, geen beeldje van. Ik snap niet dat hij niet zijn bots heeft gebruikt, dat hij niet makkelijk of zijn flash. Ah, oké, groot wel. Nee, Jesse, ik ben niet aan het schuiven. Heel even gefocust. Dan gaat hij laten zien. De vraag is, gaat hij dit wel? Hij heeft geen ult. Deze matchup is heel poep. Zonder ult op deze map. Oké. Ik kan niet dieper daarop ingaan. Ik had echt 1 seconde eerder moeten gaan, zodat hij niet zijn stemkaart op had. Ja, ik hou mijn VR zodat hij gedenied wordt van het chest. Ik ben niet bang voor zijn wekken. Q-dodge is niet heel lastig in deze gevallen. Ik ga de push bij. Ik heb zo lang gedodged. Of niet meer.
Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship live from Katowice as Team Solomid is up 1 game in this grand final, best of 5 up against World Elite after closing it out in the last one with some good team fights. What do you guys think? This time TSM is on the blue side, but what is WE going to do in reaction? What are they going to ban out?
You have to ban the Annie, absolutely. Lustboy was incredible that game. The engages were really the thing that allowed TSM to come back from losing the early game, and even then, the ganks in bottom with the flash Annie Tibbers, too powerful to handle, and World Elite, their discoordination in the team fights just crumble into the Annie.
I think we expect a set ban again. This should surely be happening. I think it was too powerful on Bjergsen when he was playing it.
Yeah, we also have to ask questions of this Jarvan again. It has its strengths and its weaknesses. Crumbs, I know you talk quite extensively about the 2 junglers in this particular matchup. Spirit for his dedication to the Prince of Demacia, and Santorin for maybe overvaluing his flash and these engaged champions. But we saw that Rek'Sai, with no Spirit, can play some of the other oddball picks. I'd like to see him try something different.
I just want to see him off the Jarvan, just because I feel like when we saw him play Lee and Rek'Sai, but Rek'Sai will more than likely be banned, he has a lot more pressure on the map in the early game. The Jarvan has to base early, you know, he can't go for staying in the jungle on his first time there, on your first clear, and it weakens your early game, and we never saw an early gank to put pressure on the map, and I think that would give World Elite a little bit of a better edge to snowball the early game like they did last game.
I got a question for you guys. WE are only really winning games when they play these low damage threat or low number of threats but high tankiness compositions. They lost with the exact comp they used to beat the GE Tigers. Does TSM have to change anything?
Well, I think beside the Annie ban, there's not much they have to do. I think they need to get on their comfort picks again and just play the team fights out better. And I feel like they got caught off guard by one or two bad team fights. And I felt like they were having the Baron, they were all committing. They gave Drakes away and gave the tools for a really good late game comeback to TSM by just giving them early Drakes.
Yeah, it was almost like Dragon was under the radar, and all of a sudden they were up to get that 5th one, and they didn't even need it in the end. What about Dyrus on Rumble? Although he had a very, very hard time in the beginning versus that Sion, he just managed to pull out some great plays. Is it worth just knowing that you can come back late with that?
I think I was not very impressed at the start. It didn't seem to work very good, but at a certain point Ari got really ahead, and I feel like every Rumble basically did Ezreal and Ari at the same time, and that's kind of shut the Ari pick down. And on top of that, I feel like the damage was not necessary, but it's more like the repositioning.
Yeah, and we are into picks and bans. The first ban coming out from TSM is Morgana and Zed on the side of WE.
So exact same bans thus far. First ban Zed from WE, they don't want Bjergsen on that. There was a last ban Morgana from TSM, and TSM banned Rek'Sai. Now they're on blue side and banning Italy. It could be a consideration for first pick if W don't take it off.
I think right here TSM is forcing World Elite's hand and asking them if they're willing to give them Rek'Sai. Ban Italy, put Spirit on the Lee Sin, which is a little bit difficult, into Rek'Sai, and say, well, are you going to ban out the Annie or are you going to give us Rek'Sai? And it's a tough call for World Elite, for World Elite, and to be honest, I think you got to give the Rek'Sai away and ban the Annie. Annie was amazing for Lustboy.
TSM's last ban was Maokai in the previous matchup, as well as that Rek'Sai we've already touched on. WE, they took Victor off the table. We have already seen Bjergsen running that Victor, but with LeBlanc going out, we'll see what W prioritize.
I think they just didn't want to run into the same matchup as before. I feel like World Elite is very comfortable playing Ari into LeBlanc, therefore Bjergsen wasn't considering for himself. So they just picked up the Rek'Sai, like we said before.
Really strange you're not seeing this Annie ban, to be honest, and more than likely we're going to see, as you mentioned, the affinity for the Prince of Demacia from World Elite, and a little surprising, either they're going to take the Annie themselves or TSM the same composition they gave them last time. A little worried here.
Yeah, I was just about to highlight that Maokai. It was banned previously. We really like Aluka on Mega, Ultra, Mega tanks, and if he gets his hands on this Maokai, a little easier to set up mid-game teamfights with that point-and-click route.
Also, the Annie, that is most likely going to be picked up by TSM soon. is just having a hard time against Maokai because
wave
all of that
clears it,
AoE
the
damage
third
reduction plus a really good engage
And
with
that
Righteous
means
Glory. You
that-
just engage on the Annie, you stop her from
Sorry.
engaging. If there's not an instant counter initiation, you really have a hard time playing against Maokai.
I think in this draft, you know, if
was
both
ook
teams
best
look back
niet
on that game, they can say we did really well. We had one or
DJ
two
heeft nog 0
mistakes.
keer geult.
Let's
Oh, hij
play
heeft
the
zo heel
exact
fijn
same comps
getrippeld.
again because I feel like both teams can
Ik was
look
even
at
in
the
de
play
war.
and say, you know, adjust a few
kan ik
things
hem
and
pakken?
we don't have to change our draft at all. We had
Dan kan
success
DJ
in the areas that
Hij
we
heeft die-
wanted
oké,
to
hij
get,
heeft die
and
ook.
I wouldn't be surprised
Okay.
if we see two exact,
DJ?
almost identical team comps that at least perform the same goals with a little variation in the champions.
Well, a little variation indeed. That was a fairly quick Janna lock-in, not the Annie that we had been discussing.
CS boys.
Well,
Wat zou hij
Don't
toen
know if you
eruit?
like it. I can see that.
Yeah, you know, why do you have to change this? You had so much success on her, to be honest, and Diana from the get-go. So I suppose they want to force Bjergsen to
Oké,
play
tijd om wat lol te
Azera,
hebben. Ik
perhaps.
ga hem duiken in 2 tilts.
Well, it was baiting on the
Ow.
Diana pick as a priority in general
Dashy
because they don't pick
kant
her.
op.
I feel like there's not much to say right now. I feel like they're just picking up the champions that they feel the most comfortable with.
successful,
They're really
boys.
good hard engaged comp, and I feel like TSM
BM
needed
is-
some kind of
Wat heeft
counter
DJ gezegd?
initiation
Oh, hij
or
helpt.
protection. And since they didn't want to go
Ik
for
zou
a hard
huilen naar
engaged
die
comp
ding.
again,
Oh.
most likely they just picked up the Janna away from duality.
So,
Die
Team
lock-
Solar Mid going to be looking for a top
een
laner
mic
and a
is
mid laner.
dus
Kind of
zo
alluded to
snel.
maybe a Xerath. Might be a bit difficult into that Diana matchup. So much engaged with Diana and Leona on WE. They just want to go ham and they want to do it all day long.
To point out the World League composition
Oh,
here, they have
die
four
was
champions
echt heel
become very tanky within themselves, especially from the
Ja, hij heeft een
itemization.
gold card. Hij heeft weer
Diana
geen
with
gold
the
card.
Hourglass and the Abyssal Scepter, Leona with her W, and the low damage
als je
from
geen
the
gold
Sivir
card hebt,
might
dan
be
dit
a
kan je
problem
verwachten dat
because
je
more
niet
than
hebt.
likely TSM will have to go with a double AP composition, and once
Heb
the
je een gold
Aegis
card
comes
kiezen?
out, the early magic
Heb je
resist
gold
and the Crucible against the Lissandra, any late game team fight with a hyper carry or high damage, pretty much just not a Corki from the AD carry, will mean that in the late game, World Elite should be winning these fights.
And I really like the pickups that we just saw right here, the Rumble and the Lissandra. Just stop the engage, re-engage, a Rumble ult down, Lissandra ulting herself, going into the
Okay.
team fight. There's a lot of lockdown as well for the lanes.
Dat is Menno.
Rek'Sai, a lot of global pressure. There's a lot we can see
DJ heeft
from
goed
their
gespeeld,
comp.
serieus.
They really picked smart against this
Hij heeft
all-in engage
echt
comp.
net iets
I
te
really
veel achter
think Kyrus is
gespeeld.
going to need to
Maar
prioritize that hourglass
DJ,
against
je
this
hebt
WE
serieus
composition. I felt like he got a little
goed
late in the previous game. And we'll need to see how Bjergsen can perform on this Lissandra. Again, it's been a pick that we have seen a couple of times
de
throughout the
eerste game
tournament.
van het
Last
toernooi.
80 carry.
Dat was de
Trumps, you said
allereerste
anything
game
but
van het
Corki.
toernooi.
I
En
like
deze
Caitlyn.
update met
You're
één game
expecting to
afval.
go for long
Winner
team
is een
fights with the
niet,
rest
maar
of
ik
that
heb
team.
één punt.
Caitlyn's fine and it makes her late game
Oh,
decent,
oh.
but they have a really good way of zerging the backline and
Staat
pretty much
één punt
ignoring
bij
the
mij.
frontline threat because
En
of
bij
the
DJ
Sivir and the
staat- ja,
Rek'Sai.
oké.
Rek'Sai can just E into the backline. Lissandra, same thing as well. Drop a Rumble on the Caitlyn. She finds herself having to E out of the team fight and she's no longer useful.
And we saw the Caitlyn pick up also because they play versus Sivir, which means Sivir versus Caitlyn is just the pressure lane. They might just want to go for that 2-on-2 and want to have a really good carry to not fall behind early with Leona, get that Leona rolling, find the right team fight as a 4-man engage comp, and yeah, that's basically what they try to do with this.
I think this game will more than likely either end in about 30 minutes in favor of TSM if they can close it really quickly because of their incredible mid-game, or just be closed out by World Elite by the scaling.
We will find out if that cup is what they're fighting for. Can TSM make it 2-0? WE coming out right after this.
Ja, zie je het zo gaan. Brands, Riven, van kant wisselen. Riven, TF. Ik ga hem even uittypen alvast. Brands, Riven, TF. Die zit het nou voor de Vane. Aatrox. Vane Aatrox. Ik weet al wat ik ga spelen is. Ik denk. Oh, wat zou het probleem kunnen zijn? Vi. Vi. En als laatste band geef ik dan op zijn hoofd. Kate. Dat gaat zo goed. Kate. Kate. Okay. Boom. Ontwijken? Oh nee. Dat is er. Oké. Ja, ik dacht vorige keer ging dat niet zo goed.
Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship Grand Final. TSM are up 1-0 after an amazing turnaround in game number 1. Let's get straight down to it. Talk about team comps.
Yeah, we were just chatting about this right here, trying to figure out what exactly WE is going to be doing with this Caitlyn. You have some theories?
I mean, basically what World Elite is going to do is 1-3-1 split push with the double teleport, and Caitlyn has been picked for this fantastic purpose of sitting in the mid lane and clear the waves over and over and over. And once you get to full late game and you get a QSS at the 3rd or 4th item, Bjergsen is running out of targets, and that's where you've gotten to the late game point where the Caitlyn can start to shine. But she needs to get there, and she needs to be able to sit in that mid lane and just wave clear.
Yeah, you know what is a little bit worrisome for me, Deficio, is that when we've seen WE win, they've done it very effectively on these more skirmish-based compositions, and when they go to the very late game like we saw last time, even though they had this massive advantage, they made positional errors. They showed that they're still a little bit unused to playing together as a unit, and they failed to close the game properly.
You can really see the main tactic for World Elite is we want to fight. We want a team fight against you. So even when they have super minions pushing in the lane, they don't wait for them. They don't play around them. They go for these engages. That's why they lost the last one. They got caught out under the tower of Team Solo mid. But we have seen this Diana pick before. If you get out the laning phase, if you get your Abyssal and your Hourglass, you become very tanky and you become very strong in the one-on-ones. And that's where the teleport can really play. But they gotta get to that late game point. The pressure is now for Team Solo mid around this mid lane with the Ignite.
We also talked about in the mid game, if you do that 1-3-1, it's so easy to collapse on the very low escape. And here we go, Dyrus.
Whoa, Dyrus is way out of position here. Are they going to follow through? You bet they are. That will be first blood here. Going over to Spirit. Might not be over just yet. Aluka is at half HP. Here comes Turtle from the side. Aluka going to be the first target from this one. But while Turtle going low, they use someone to heal. Spirit's there as well. He gets exhausted. And Spirit will also fall. And that will be a 2-for-1. Maybe even more. Mystic will flash away. What a crazy start.
Insane level 1. Dyrus uses walking down in the jungle. He got caught out first. But then suddenly they decided to keep fighting on the side of World Elite. Mystic came from the mid lane as well behind them. There was no flashes for Luca and for Spirit. And they end up dying. So suddenly the master bait here from Dyrus pays off for them at level 1. But that was a very strange one.
The masturbate indeed, Deficio. We are only 2 minutes and 10 seconds into this one, already going a little bit crazy. As you can see, UJ and Spirit just starting off that blue buff as we get into somewhat more of a normal start, albeit slightly later than usual. 2 versus 2 lane in the bottom side. Opinions on that one?
Well, I mean, Leona and Caitlyn, not exactly the highest lane synergy, but if they can avoid some auto attacks and play a little defensively, they may be able to get some hits on the Wild Turtle.
Oh,
it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, we see already the early trade here.
Oh, this one could actually be really close there. One more auto attack should do it. There's someone to heal. Gonna be you. Turtle goes in, and they'll trade.
Wat gebeurt bij ESL, joh? Oh, allemaal
not
high.
over yet, man. There's more fighting.
Well, Lost Boy, I don't think he's gonna fall to this one. He still had a flash available somehow. I don't know how Summoner spells were still around at that stage. Spirit also came down to see what he could do, but was slightly too late on that one. 3-2 now to TSM.
So just to talk about this bottom lane here from World Elite and what they've set up. Caitlyn is a strong pick into Sivir, so that's fine. But Leona, in order for it to work really well into Janna, you need to run cooldown reduction. Because you need your E to have a lower cooldown than the Hurricane or the Howling Gale for Janna itself. But it's Lost Boy running 10% cooldown reduction, while on the side of World Elite, 0 cooldown reduction. So Lost Boy can basically drop every single engage in the lane from the Leona, and that's going to make it pretty tough for them to all-in trade, or at least trade together, where instead Team Solo Mid can put the shield on Wild Turtle and make him stronger in the one-on-ones with the AD carry. So a little bit strange in that case, but because the lane were pushing up here for Team Solo Mid, they got a bit of extra farm, which was denied from Mystic, as he obviously had to go back to base because he died.
Well, she will be forced to flash there in middle. Different style this time around from Santorin. Maybe playing that Rek'Sai with so many summoners down across the board is a little bit more fun for him in these early stages of this one. Top lane as well, Aluka versus Dyrus has been going in favor of Dyrus up until now, despite that early death for it.
You know, I'm actually really surprised that we see this Diana coming back, because it was used in this first
Oh,
game, this teleport Diana, between these two teams at the group stage, and TSM really did play on it very well. They used that pressure they got.
The flash, exactly.
Since Shia has to play it very far back to get those two boards in and control Spirit. And really, if we look at how WE got so far ahead in the last game, it was over that more aggressive laning phase, getting Shia very far ahead early on that Ahri, and then converting that into So I'm not really sold on this. In fact, I think that TSM has played very well against this before.
Yeah.
So a bit risky, and here we go. Bjergsen coming up to the top side.
What are they planning here? Aluka's actually incredibly low. Santorin will chip him down a little more, but they weren't able to get a kill. His flash wasn't available as Mystic, and once again Wild Turtle going to exchange a little bit of damage. Wild Turtle will just back away from that one. Double Doran's Blade is what he came back into lane with, a longsword for Mystic, so slightly different there at the start of Shia, just going in and putting down some wards. He was having a bit of a wander to figure out exactly what was going on in the jungle.
Yeah, very different start in the bottom lane here compared to last game, where it was World Elite winning the 2v2, but now, because the lane was pushing towards Team Solo mid when Mystic died, there was a lot of extra minions for Wild Turtle once he returned, and also bad, honestly, recall from Leona in that lane. She recalled to base, so Mystic was forced to sit under his own tower, and he was only level 2 before that last trade we saw here, so big advantage for Team Solo mid, and that means they can focus on other lanes. Top lane could be the one. For now, it's Spirit against Dyrus though.
Oh, Dyrus has no flash. This surely is the end with that red buff keeping him slowed down. It will go over to Aluka, and that was quite simply brilliantly done from Spirit.
Yeah, right there, you do see the Trinket Ward still up from Dyrus, and not only that, but again, the Scuttler control on the top side, excellent by Spirit. In this matchup, we see Rumble Maokai a lot, and if he really does have a lot of that kill pressure early, because he has the hard CC. If Rumble overextends even a little bit, especially without that flash, it can cause a lot of issues.
Oh, there's the lockup on towards Lust, but he will get stunned as Aluka is going to dive in on top of him. UJ is moving in as well. Who are they going to finish first? That will be Wild Turtle. Lust Boy getting close to that tower. They're going to dive for this one. Half dive for this one. UJ follows on through with the exhaust, and they do manage to get both. But now Santorin coming around, may be able to pick off UJ. He's got no flash available, but Mystic and Aluka there.
Hij pikt en mij ook al is met TV. Hij nam weer op level 1. Geen
really
reden.
making sure that lane can now catch up. Nice setup from him. Let's see how much they lose. Dyrus managed to push the top wave, and obviously Bjergsen pushing in the mid lane here. So both solo laners from World Elite, losing at least some farm and some damage on the tower.
Bjergsen edging forward. Flash from Spirit. Bjergsen, of course, level 6, had his ultimate available. I'll be happy to get rid of that flash from Spirit.
Yeah, Spirit actually, we did see Shia coming up the lane right there. If Lissandra had committed, that actually would have been very risky for him. So I'm not sure that flash was exactly necessary.
Hij gaat geen pijn doen, want
So we'll be definitely happy to get that one out.
in range te blijven.
Isa coming into this mid lane. Get some wards down. Will find Santorin right there and give a little clearance as well. Spirit heading down to the bottom side, and Mystic actually finally catching up a bit in terms of itemization.
And despite Dyrus dying twice in this top lane, once obviously at level 1 and then the lane itself, he's doing okay because he started Ruby Crystal into Maokai. It's what you do when you simply want to rush that Haunting guys, which you really need for the trade. And Rumble, again, he is a champion who doesn't need that much gold to really be efficient in the mid game. He just gotta get you early match penetration. You're basically good to go. So he's doing okay despite dying twice. And now we see Team Solo. Look at the difference here. Now World Elite running with teleport in mid lane. You don't have the same pressure. Suddenly it's Team Solo mid invading on their blue buff, denying that one from the Diana pick here. Really making sure that Bjergsen, once he picks up his own blue, is going to have a very easy time in the lane.
Yeah, that entire time was hammering on the turret as well. That's about half health. So good bit of pressure there from Bjergsen and the rest of TSM. Meanwhile, Spirit on the bottom side of the map is going to start walking his way down, seeing if he can get into that bottom lane. Funnily enough, TSM have backed off completely to Crux.
Yeah, Minion. Can be a bit risky to go forward on that one. And, you know, Oh, Shia trying to get the Raptors right there. Can't play forward at all. And Santorin doing a really good job of evading these buffs right now and trying to take the jungle away. And this is really what I don't understand WWE playing this style. I think that they turned on when they stopped playing the teleport Diana because that opens up Spirit. Spirit is the strongest member on this team. He's the one who's carrying us. We see some scrapping down in the bottom side. And I just don't think this actually plays to WE's strength very well.
This is what we expected in game one, but never quite happened for us. There's no vision of that Dragon attempt here for
hij weet dat hij niet kan opblokken. Oké, jongens, ik ga oppredict.
By Spirit here, knowing first of all the blue buff is spawning, so there's a high chance of Bjergsen to pick that one up. And also you saw the bottom lane had been pushed out from World Elite, so it's a fairly safe one.
Oké, boys, waar is de chat? Waar is de chat? Voor die verdien ik toch wel wat.
Sadly failed on in the last game. And also why suddenly Team Solomid had a potential 5th dragon coming up later once they came back in the game itself.
Yeah, Dyrus really starting to open up a very large CS gap as well. Up in the top side, Luka playing pretty defensively. Void Rush up into the mid lane and Santorin right back into the enemy jungle trying to take away this red.
It's really risky timing though. Bjergsen just recalls, so had Spirit been up here.
No, he knew he wasn't there. So Ward right on the blue buff from earlier. So Santorin making a good call.
Yeah, nice little setup there. Normally though, you don't want your mid laner to recall if you're invading into the enemy jungle. But some good deep wards already placed, and this simply is because of that mid lane pressure for Bjergsen that you can invade in. That's how you can shut down even one of the best junglers in the world for being too active in the early game. And Dyrus obviously, with the early haunting guys here, just doing a great job. A look at though, I've noticed when basically on every champion, what he will do, at least on the tanks, is he's just going to go for like Catalyst on Maokai, as an example, and then he goes full tank after. He doesn't go into Righteous Glory, he doesn't go Rod of Ages. He aims to just get Catalyst and then get as tanky as possible for the mid game. See if he's going to go for the same here. It does mean even though he gets shut down, he won't be a squishy guy jumping in if there's a fight in a few minutes.
Well, Flash available for Dyrus, not for Aluka right now, so Dyrus may be able to get out of this one. He is relatively close to his See how patient Spirit is going to be if he wants to wait for this wave to really press forward or not. They're going for it.
There's the route. The knockup will follow as well. As you said, Dyrus has a flash and he did use it, but at the very, very last second there.
Well, Aluka did a really good job of arcane smashing him further back right there to prevent that flash from really doing anything at all. And that may open up further gank attempts in the top lane, but for the moment, mid turret down. And this is that issue. Playing against Bjergsen is very dangerous if you have a non-combat summoner.
Exactly the same that happened the first time of this tournament where Team Solomid and World Elite played each other. Diana mid lane with teleport. That was into a Z though from Bjergsen. Same deal, lost the mid lane, lost the pressure around it.
And how they lost that game too, you know, we've talked about some of the more foolish late game decisions. In the last game, it was pushing onto that middle inhibitor turret when they had the bottom inhibitor already for their timing. In the first game against TSM, what they did was they had a ward on Baron, so they could see TSM wasn't doing it. They were waiting to outscale WWE.
Ja, dankjewel. Oké. Maar Jesse, heb je hem trouwens serieus gezien? Want die was echt ziek hoor. Die ene ult was echt ziek.
And when WWE wins, they win it out of a strong laning phase. So I think they may not be adapting to their own strengths.
Yeah, that really is the thing. If you want to run the split pushing compositions with 1-3-1 setups, you need to get ahead early on, because if you do fall behind, you will never be able to push up the lanes far enough without getting ganked to just even die one-on-one, and that's gonna cost you though. Dyrus with no flash is getting ganked again.
Yeah, there is another knock-up for him. What are they gonna do to finish this one off? Aluka will have to tank the turret somewhat, but he's not gonna stop Dyrus from going down. Aluka went to just half HP, and that will be Dyrus's 4th death of the game. Are they gonna dive UJ? They're not.
No, the minion wave is coming a bit late here for Team Solomid. We'll only be able to get just a little bit of damage on this mid tower. So World Elite felt like that was a trade they could take of really trying to shut down this rumble and feed up your Maokai.
Kijken bij de guest, ja, dankjewel Jesse, het was echt, dat was prachtig. Ik was serieus aan gewoon de joint die achterste voren in mijn mond, zou je denken. Oké. Yo, Jesse, ben je nog steeds beneden? Want volgens mij ben je nu boven, toch? Gewoon in de Skype zei je om... Ja, je bent
And 2 TSM Sprints are doing a very good job of applying pressure cross map in these situations.